Hello and welcome to this historic day, the 28th of May, when India gets a new parliament. We are taking you through this virtual journey of what the new Sansad looks like. This is the lower house, the Lok Sabha, which is themed around the peacock motif, the national bird of India. It's colored green. The overall theme in the Lok Sabha is green. The peacock has been chosen as the motif to be used in the Lok Sabha. In the Rajya Sabha, the upper house, it'll be the lotus theme, the national flower. The lower house is colored green, whereas the upper house is colored rust orange. It's 64,500 square meters, the total area of this new parliament building. The Lok Sabha can seat over 800 MPs and the Rajya Sabha can seat over 350. It's been built up over 64,500 square meters. There's going to be new special lounges for MPs. State-of-the-art conference rooms are going to be there. There's going to be a constitution hall, just like your central hall in the old parliament, which will seat all 1,200 plus MPs. Mind you, one of the main reasons why the old parliament was not able to take the strength of the new Lok Sabha and the new Rajya Sabha was because after delimitation in 2026, the strength of both houses will increase. So over 800 in the Lok Sabha, over 350 in the Rajya Sabha. But like I said, technology-wise, there are going to be state-of-the-art conference rooms, libraries, committee rooms, a constitution hall, which will house members from both houses. The shelf life of this building is 150 years, much like the old building, which is going to be almost 100 years since its inaugurated way back in 1927. Like I said, this is the lower house, this virtual journey. It's been themed on the peacock motif, which is the national bird. The upper house, the house of the elders of the Rajya Sabha, has been themed around the lotus, the national flower. Let me now go across to our political editor, Maria Shakil, who's joining us from outside the new Parliament complex, where the Sengol was installed by the Prime Minister right next to the Speaker's chair. Maria, capture for us the significance of today, the moment.
It's historic. It's mesmerizing. Just look at that structure, Zaka. That is the new Parliament of India. You know, as a vibrant democracy, as a young democracy at the same time, 75 years old is not much. This is the young nation which is celebrating the big parliament. The emblem, the national emblem, is right up there. You know, Zaka, the significance of democracy. We say India is the largest democracy. The world watches us. We are the democracy by the people. Government is by the people, for the people, of the people. This is what it means today. And for all of us who are covering Parliament, have covered it for over a decade, we realize that the 17th Lok Sabha will now be held here. All those MPs will be now entering that building during the monsoon session to attend that parliament. We certainly hope that there are less boycotts and more time that is spent in the legislative business. But overall, the sense certainly is that this is signifying that India is on the march. As at a time when the world is watching us, world is watching that how is India the bright spot in and otherwise worrying economies all over the world. This is what it signifies, that India can invest in its legacy, that this is about transfer of power in the true sense, that we have seen that entire Kartavya Path change, we have seen the various aspects of this entire, Rajpath becoming Kartavya Path, and now this is what it is. And when we look at it, politics aside, this is a gorgeous building, Zaka. Looking at it from the outside, you certainly feel that it is majestic.
All right, Maria, thank you for that. Like I said, it's a historic moment, and maybe, you know, once the dust settles on this, the opposition could have a rethink on whether they missed a trick by not attending and boycotting today's Parliament inauguration. Let me introduce our guests. Professor Kapil Kumar, historian, is joining us, and Kailash Adhikari is political analyst and managing director with Governance Now. Professor Kapil Kumar, let me start with you. In terms of the historic significance, I think one big thing that happened today, along with all the rituals, was the installation of the Sengol, which is a 100-year-old relic. It's been brought back from a museum in Allahabad. It was used, supposedly, for the transfer of power from the British Raj to independent India on the eve of India's independence on the 14th of August 1947. And now that same Sengol has been installed right next to the Speaker's chair. Walk us through the significance of not just the installation of the Sengol, but also the rituals that took place, and the fact that the government is saying that this is to re-establish and reconnect that civilizational link, that this is a 1,000-year-old culture and a 1,000-year-old country?
You see, I feel it's much more than a civilizational link, It not only represents a civilization, but the question here is what it represented in that civilization. And what it represented in that civilization and what it represents even today is the concept of Raj Dharma. Now, what is Raj Dharma? Raj Dharma is the dharma to govern. And what it means is that whosoever rules, whether it is a prime minister, whether it is a president, whether it is a king, because in ancient times, even in our republics, peoplely elected governments also, the head was called a Raja only. So it is that governance part that he should keep that dharma in mind, that one has to serve the people, one has to protect the nation. These are the concepts which are there, and that has to be done with all humility. This is what Raj Dharma is, and this is what Sengol represents what the Raj Dharma is. So I have a feeling that with the colonial past being shed away one by one, this is a major history being created today with the Sengol there, which reminds our rulers, even every parliamentarian, that when you are sitting there, you are doing Raj Dharma. You should be above your party politics. You should think of the people. You should think of the nation. You should think of those who defend our nations at the borders. That is the Raj Dharma, and that is what every parliament.
But historically speaking, before I go to Kailash, the Congress had a press conference a couple of days ago, and they said, there is no documentary evidence to suggest that this Sengol was used in some kind of a transfer of power ceremony, even if it is symbolically from the British Raj to independent India. There are pictures, of course, of the first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, with the Sengol, with a golden shawl, the Adinams presenting that to him. But this was not necessarily some kind of transfer of power symbolism attached to it. What do you make of it? What is your historic reading of the Sengol?
Zaka, first of all, what the opposition and the principal opposition party, Congress, is trying to create with the entire Sengol is I believe it's very trivial and childish. As Indians, we have to be proud of the fact that today we have a new parliament building at the cusp of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, when India is 75 years old to independence, and we are a young and vibrant democracy. And at a time where we can see the kind of weight and the kind of importance and the kind of gravity that India is getting around the world, where Australian Prime Minister is calling our Honorable Prime Minister the boss, where the Prime Minister of the United States of America is saying that he wants an autograph because of the popularity of Prime Minister, our Prime Minister. At that time, when we are entering into an era where there's a new parliament building, and at that time, what is the kind of trivial politics that Congress is getting into? I mean, why are you demeaning the entire importance of the new parliament building and the fact that the Senegal is being placed right beside the chair of the Lok Sabha? I mean, it's a Lok Sabha speaker. I mean, it's kind of trivial. Why are you not celebrating India?
Okay, Pallavi Ghosh is also joining us. Arun Dhanta will also be joining us. Pallavi, I think, and I've been saying this over and over again, this building is for posterity. This building is for history. It will stand for India's democratic principles, the whole principle of Vad and Samvad, which is what our democracy is based on, which is what parliamentary proceedings are based on. Arun, just in terms of what is the thinking in both the ruling camp as well as in the opposition camp, does the ruling camp feel that maybe they should have walked the extra mile to get the opposition on board? And does the opposition camp feel maybe they missed out a trick on boycotting this function? They should have been as much a part of today's function, because after all, the parliament is not just for one party or one dispensation. The parliament is for both treasury benches and opposition benches.
And that's right, they will all have to sit in this parliament. It's not like that if they are boycotting this inauguration ceremony, they will not be part of any further programs in this parliament. After all, they will be sitting in this parliament, and that's the argument when we were asking or speaking to the BJP leaders. They were saying that this new parliament